Abandoned missile silo under Colorado is hidden in the hills. A couple of friends from Denver, Colorado, took a drive one day and decided to go on an adventure. They drove about 60 miles east and started to follow a small trail. They came across something that not many people have ever seen or even knew existed. It's located in Deer Trail, Colorado, and it is the first and only one of its kind left. This place was abandoned in the 60s and sealed off from existence. There's a small, creepy entrance that leads to a vast underground facility, and these friends had the guts to go inside and explore. Take a look at what they found. There's a small entrance hidden in the hills from plain sight. It was gated shut, but has been vandalized over the years, making it accessible. What these friends had come across is the first Titan I missile silo in the United States. This has long since been abandoned because these missile silos were incredibly inefficient and expensive to run and maintain. The abandoned missile silo has been sitting and rotting for almost 50 years. The last of the main equipment was removed about 15 years ago. Because of the time that this silo was built, they decided to wear some masks. Asbestos was a very common building material and is prominent throughout the silo. The first of many long tunnels spanning the underground facility. The tunnel led to a main chamber. This was a giant theater-like room. It was the control room for the facility's power generators. The walkways were scary, to say the least. Many of the steel grates were missing or completely corroded through. A balancing act was necessary in many parts. Below these beams is pretty stagnant cold water. It ranges from a few centimeters to several feet deep. Falling in this would be terrible. At the end of the main room, they followed a set of stairs into the unknown depths below. Deeper they go. This led down to the power room. Generators that powered the entire facility were mounted on these giant mounts with springs that would absorb the vibrations. They saw these terrifying black painted images with white eyes all over. There were these black figures with white eyes painted around corners all over the place, and it was pretty freaky at first. More generator mounts. After every room was a set of giant steel doors. They have to weigh a few hundred pounds at least. This is an elevator shaft that leads to the surface. It was the cleanest thing in the silo because it was used about 15 years ago to remove the last of the salvageable equipment and metals. More creepy figures. The main room led to another giant long tunnel. There are some pretty cool paintings in this abandoned missile silo. Except for the creepy figure. One slip would have ruined the whole abandoned missile silo exploration. There was about 20 feet of water below them at this point. Who knows what's in the dark, stagnant water below the rotted walkway? Peering into the first missile silo, below them was about a 100-foot drop into roughly 50 feet of the nastiest water you can imagine. They only had small lights in a vast pitch-black space, so they didn't do much. Don't worry, we found some better pictures, and we'll get to it in a moment. They came across this, and it completely freaked them out. It was spread all over the walls and the floor right before the 100-foot drop. They thought it was the scene of a grim murder. One of the guys had enough guts to touch it. Luckily, it was just hydraulic fluid. Phew! More hallways leading to more silos and control rooms. More balancing over stagnant water. Then they came to an escape hatch. The hatch was about 50 feet to the surface. Up they went, stopping for a little break. It sounds like it was quite the climb. There was no cover or anything, just an open hole in the middle of a field in the middle of nowhere. These images were taken by another group of explorers I found while researching this silo. They had slightly better lighting in some of their pictures, so we thought we'd share these as well to give you a better understanding of the layout. This is the ceiling of the power room. A very clear shot of the elevator shaft. Here are some clear pictures of the tunnels that lead to the control rooms and the underground missile silos. For some reason, there was a burnt couch. Not sure if this was original with the structure or someone was staying down there. Many of the tunnels look like this, full of mud and standing water. The tunnels are starting to lose their round shape because they are collapsing. A balancing act over some very deep, stagnant water. If the floor of the abandoned missile silo wasn't covered in wreckage or standing water, it was covered in this. Disgusting. Some welcoming words. Here is a clear shot of one of the abandoned missile silos. It's roughly 100 feet down with another 50 to 70 feet of stagnant water, probably fuel, other liquids, and who knows what else. Falling in this in the pitch black would give anyone haunting nightmares. Looking straight across the silo. Looking up at the silo doors. These doors weigh about 115 tons each. Below is a drawing of the Titan I missile silo. The Titan I missile system was kind of silly. We spent so much time and money on these silos, and they were only operational for 3 to 5 years in the early 60s. They were super inefficient too. The missiles couldn't be fired from the silos. Rather, the silos housed enormous elevators that raised the missiles to the surface. The missiles couldn't be stored with fuel either. They had to be fueled, then raised, then fired. And only one could be fired and guided at a time. So these silos are much more massive than the Minuteman and Peacekeeper silos of the 70s and 80s.